Throughout our lives, many of our goals are to be in a relationship and to one day get married. An important skill to have during adulthood is learning how to maintain a relationship, but also learning when it is necessary to end one. However, when some people recognize it is necessary to end a bad relationship, they still decide to stay. According to Volpesely 2015, around 60% of people stay in bad relationships even when it is not fulfilling. For such a high percentage, it causes us to question, why do some people stay in bad relationships? And what makes people stay when they should clearly end it? Throughout our research, we have found that many of the times it has to do with financial reasons, couples feeling pressured to stay together due to family or the length of their relationship, and many times a person can fear their partner, causing them not to leave the toxic relationship. According to Campbell 2023, financial dependence on a partner can cause people to stay in toxic relationships. They may feel like they cannot support themselves without their partner's income, or they will lose their financial stability if they leave.
I believe people stay in bad relationships out of habit. It's like a bad habit. And to some people, it's almost like an addiction. You get used to it. You're desensitized to the person's defensiveness, the person's stonewalling behavior.
In a bad relationship, one may employ 4 toxic communication styles, which are considered the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. Gottman identified these 4 types of conflict behaviors as criticism, contempt, defensiveness, and stonewalling. Criticism, according to Fowler and Dillow 2011, may take the form of accusations or appear as a chain list of negative comments. Contempt is the goal of causing a partner psychological pain through expressions of disgust. Defensiveness is self-protective responses to a partner's actions that may appear in the guise of denials of responsibility. And finally, stonewalling is creating physical distance from a partner by being unresponsive to efforts to communicate, responding in grunts, or withdrawing from interaction.
When you stop listening to each other and you're ignoring each other, that becomes a habit. And then you just get used to it and you accept it when you shouldn't. You kind of forget what it should be and how good it can be. You just learn to live with the dysfunction.
Heron et al. 2022 defines domestic violence as intimate partner violence, which may entail verbal, sexual, or physical acts that harm a partner. 1 in 3 women worldwide have experienced physical or sexual violence by an intimate partner at some point in their lifetime, according to the World Health Organization 2014. A reason for staying in this relationship may be a result of forgiveness. Herman 2019 states that forgiveness is closely correlated with emotional attachment. For instance, if a woman believes that her partner did not mean to intentionally hurt her, then she is more likely to forgive and continue on in the relationship.
First off, I wouldn't say I'm an expert in love. I would say that I have a lot of love in my heart, but a lot of circumstances, whether you're dealing with kids, stepchildren, the dynamics of family, real world problems, can affect your love. I'd say with my first kid, you start snuggling with the little one, eating their toes, and you lose that a little bit of affection for your wife. And then the second one, you lose more and more. Then you lose more and more because you're putting your affection and your love into your kids. And then next thing you know, you're not given the attention that is needed.
The consequences of divorcing, the worst one I would say is the financial loss. Divorce is expensive and can take time away from work. It takes an emotional toll too. Divorce is a serious decision to be made, not taken lightly because it's expensive.
Couples may stay in a bad marriage due to the fact that divorce is very expensive and they have the risk of losing a lot. The average cost of divorce is around $12,900, and in a study done by Zagorski 2005, the study found that divorce reduces a person's wealth by about 3/4 compared to that of a single person, while being married almost doubles comparative wealth, and people who get divorced see their wealth begin to drop long before the decree becomes final.
Children become confused. Sometimes they think they're to blame, and of course that's not true. When adults start acting negatively towards each other. Children often become confused and they don't know which side to take, and can feel really sad about that. Children need to be communicated with during that whole time.
Divorce has been shown to diminish a child's future confidence in all areas of life, including family relationships, education, emotional well-being, and future earning power, according to Anderson 2014. Exposure to interparental conflict is considered one of the most stressful events experienced by children whose parents divorce.
Do you think that children suffer from divorces?
I think they can, absolutely. But I also think that they suffer when your family, mom and dad fight all the time.
A relationship is bad when there is little or no communication. When you do not trust each other, you're not honest with each other. And when those two things are missing, a relationship can take a toxic turn and become very difficult and can sometimes end because of that. When you lose trust, you have to gain it back. And when you're not respectful of each other and each other's needs, that can lead to lack of communication, which then, without communication, a relationship can't be successful.
Heron et al. 2022 states that another reason a couple may stay in a toxic relationship is entrapment, which contains sub-themes of economic dependence, physical entrapment or social isolation, learned helplessness or coping mechanisms, and/or religious and cultural beliefs.
I've seen it 7,000 times.
But every time I lean over and I said, I'm sorry, you said it was fine. You squeezed my hand and said it was fine. You said, I love you. Don't worry, it's fine.
Like I said, I believe that the number one reason that people stay in bad relationships is because of children. I think a lot of times that people feel that the children would be better off if the parents stayed together.
I think the easy answer is to stay for the kids, but I think you get married for a reason, and I personally feel like my first wife and I always stayed in together because we wanted to make our marriage work for our kids, for each other. But it really came to the end where we were just staying together for the kids.
O'Hara et al. 2021 discovered that children from divorced families and their exposure to interparental conflict may create worries that they will lose contact with their non-residential parent and raise concerns that their remaining parent may also leave them.
Also, people sometimes stay in bad relationships because they're just afraid to leave. Maybe they have money issues. They don't have anywhere to go. I think that there are consequences. What do I consider the consequences of divorcing? I think that there are a lot of consequences to divorcing, and there's consequences that you don't think about until you go through it. I think that it's sometimes much better for your children to see you healthier, but then you also have to, there's things that you don't think about that you're going to lose. There's friends that you might lose. There's family members that you might lose. There's things that you lose that you don't think about.
The most challenging aspect of marriage is communication. You have to learn to not only just think of yourself, you have to make decisions together and talk about them sometimes before you act on them. You have to agree on them. And if you trust each other and listen, then you can come to a conclusion on what you need to do. Our biggest challenge was deciding on what to do with finances, when to spend money and what to spend it on. And we've learned over the years to talk about it first and then either agree to disagree or agree to move ahead and spend money on certain things.
As human beings, it's our natural instinct to judge a situation without knowing any context to it. Judging someone for staying in a bad relationship when we know they should end it and questioning their choices is an example. What we have found in our studies have shown the inside reasoning that isn't shown to the public eye, such as people stay in toxic relationships because divorce is simply too expensive or the thought of being a single mom or dad creates financial stress. Additionally, some couples may fear the thought of never seeing their children again if they get a divorce, or they feel the need to stay together simply because they have been together so long. A situation can be extremely toxic, such as one that a partner is abusive and the other is scared of the consequences if they leave them. The moral of the story is to never judge another person or their situation. There are many reasons that cause people to stay in those relationships, even when it is clear to end it and it's not evident to the public. The best thing to do is offer support and empathy to anyone you know involved in that situation.